So we'll go ahead and get started. Thank you everyone for being here with us today. If you have any questions at all throughout this webinar, we definitely encourage you to ask them. You will see a Q&A button located in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. So please feel free to use that at any point if you have any questions. Lauren will be taking questions throughout the presentation, and then we'll have a Q&A portion at the end as well. So again, any questions at all, go ahead and ask them. We also have the chat function open as well. With that, I would now like to turn it over to Warren Call. Warren, thanks for being here today.
Thanks, Molly, and good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us for the newest installment of our Connecting the Dots webinar series. This is a series designed to help you connect with resources and information as you and your companies deal with the ongoing both economic and health crisis caused by the COVID-19 virus. I'm excited to have you with us and very excited for our topic today. It's very timely and important. We have, incredible expertise available in our community. It's one of our greatest local advantages. And a prime example of that is the world-class expertise we have in today's featured speaker. So it's my great pleasure to introduce our speaker for today, Lauren Bigelow. I'm going to read Lauren's impressive bio and then I will turn it over to her. Dr. Lauren Bigelow is the Executive Director of 20 Fathoms. She is a senior executive and serial entrepreneur with more than 20 years of experience leading innovative companies and initiatives. She's assisted privately held startup technology, energy, clean tech, IT, and fintech companies from their inception through the growth stage of their businesses. Prior to 20 Fathoms, Lauren was the CEO of the Growth Capital Network, a Michigan-based firm that provides strategy, analytic, and impact evaluation services to the corporate foundation and nonprofit community. Before its 2009 acquisition by Bloomberg, Lauren was the North American Commercial Director for New Energy Finance, the leading provider of data and research in clean energy markets. From early 2004 to 2008, she was the Managing Director of the Clean Tech Group, where she oversaw the firm's technology and entrepreneur pipelines. Lauren created and ran Accelerate Michigan, the first $1 million innovation competition, taking it from a simple concept over 6 years to $7.7 million of funding. Presenting companies have raised over $1 billion and created over 2,000 jobs. Other projects include the program administration and curriculum for the Michigan Translational Research and Commercialization Program, and the co-creation and execution of the Michigan Green Tech Entrepreneur Academy, a program that taught Midwest University and federal lab scientists to commercialize technology. Lauren is on the finance faculty at the University of Michigan's Ross School of Business. She received her BA in economics from the University of Michigan and her MA and PhD in anthropology from Northwestern University. It's our great pleasure to have Lauren with us today. Please welcome Lauren Bigelow. And I'll turn it over to you, Lauren.
Good morning, everybody. I am about to share my screen and pop it up into presentation mode. Good morning, and Lauren, thank you so much for a great introduction. It's a nice overview of my background and what I've been able to do over the last 20 years. So, one of the key pieces when Camille reached out to ask me to do a webinar was, what can I bring to the table? What has my experience helped me really gain insight into over the last kind of 20 or 25 years of working in businesses? So one of the key pieces going into this pandemic is that, this is unlike anything any of us have ever dealt with. It brings back stories that my grandmother used to tell me about the Depression and business, and just trying to wrap my mind around that as a kid. But, as an adult looking at the next 2, 3, 4 quarters and all the possibilities that are out there, as somebody currently running a nonprofit organization, it's daunting. As somebody who's owned a number of businesses, I know it's also daunting. But the reality is we'll get through it. We will hit the other side of it. People will shift and change. But in terms of really how to navigate this for your business, there's some key threads that run through all of these calamities, all of these challenges and chaotic periods. And I really want to go through some of those themes today and help people understand, some of the resources that are out there for you, and just put a couple of little thoughts in your head about, hey, what can we do? How can we do this? So I couldn't find a really good graphic other than this. It's kind of a goofy cartoon, but the reality is, for your business, you need to secure yourself first. As the business owner, as the person who has hired the team and put it all together and had the vision for the business, you really need to get yourself together first and your business. So, you can't be useful to anybody else on your team unless you're calm, unless you've got this semblance of a plan, and then you can secure everything around you. So, these are chaotic times. There's going to be wild shifts in information. There's going to be a lot of disappointments. So knowing that the plan that you create in April, man, it's going to change in May, and it's going to shift again in June. But having, knowing the core pieces that you've got and keeping up on it, those are really going to be important. One thing I think that's important in all of this, and I've found with everybody who's running a small business, is finding somebody that you can vent to who hopefully is not necessarily your spouse or some of the key people in your business. Doing something where, if you're expressing your anxiety, you're not engaging with the people, you're not putting that stress onto your staff, you're not putting that stress into your support system with your spouse. So as I've gotten through my business life, one of the key strategies that I use, which seems counterintuitive, but it's been quite helpful, is I use worst case scenario planning. And so, once you identify the points of potential failure in your business moving forward, that's when you can look at, like, okay, if we get to point B, these are the actions I'm going to need to take. These are the possibilities that are out there. And so you're not surprised by it. You might not have a thorough plan, but at least you've thought it through, like, okay, if we get to the point that our major client craters or is half the revenue that they were in 2019, like, what do we do then? So you most definitely, as much as you might want to put your head in the sand, just don't. As much as, you should take a walk every day, you should clear your head, but as much as you want to avoid what's happening now, it's really an opportunity for leadership. So, and while you're doing this and focusing on your business, also don't lose sight of the other risks that are available around your business. So things like cybersecurity, keeping your technology together, make sure that you've got those all sort of as tight as possible. So finance is really critical. And I'll say this at the beginning and the end, it's not like there's a stepped way that you're going to go through this. You're going to be parallel processing all of these pieces of, like, finance and HR and customer discovery all at the same time. So these are just some arenas that to help you navigate the waters ahead. So first of all, with your finances, really know, where are you at? I know this is going to be painful, particularly for the non-number people, but go through every line of your P&L. Really mark things in terms of what is necessary for the maintenance of your core business and what's a luxury. And the things that, it's amazing, what was necessary and, as of Jan 1 might be a total luxury right now. In that evaluation, look at your cash flow. What's in your bank? What lines of credit do you have? What available cash do you have? And one of the lessons that happened over the last, 2 downturns is that not only will funding drop, but credit will be incredibly difficult to obtain. So if you have a line of credit, if you have an opportunity to get credit now, you can just pay it back if you don't need it, but it is going to be incredibly difficult to obtain for the next 24 to 36 months. So if you're in a window of time where you can access it, do so. Credit cards, if you're thinking about cutting one up, you might as well keep it open. Again, there are expenses, there are certain emergencies that it might be good for. And then on the flip side, looking at your expenses. So what do you owe? What are your rent and utilities? Are there opportunities to talk to your landlord? Is there an opportunity to get on a payment program for the utilities? Can you talk to these folks? Can you, if you have a customer service rep that's not particularly cooperative, I always hang up and just try to get somebody else. But if you're getting into straits that are dire, every penny helps. So talk to a manager, take the time to do that. And get those and negotiated, while you're trying to get your sea legs and until you have a bit more clarity about your situation. So, right now you really want to be as liquid and as flexible as possible. So you want to, if you can, plan for, what Q2 is going to look like, 3 and 12-month scenarios. I mean, with the lockdown, we don't know what's going on in the fall. So it's, again, all of these strategies that you put out are going to change, but at least you've got that framework for you. If you're not great with finance and you need assistance, I mean, there's some great resources out there. If you're a number phobe, 20 Fathoms has an amazing set of mentors. They're up on our website. Camille Hoisington, who is also over at Travelers Connect, she helps us coordinate the mentors. Reach out to them. They have been through the war of business. They know how to help you. SCORE, the Society of Retired Executives, there's a great SCORE contingent in the Traverse area. Use them. Small Business Development Centers, SBDC, they're part of SBA, they're part of the federal government. They've just gotten a really big infusion of monies to help with tech assistance for businesses for all of the federal grants that are coming through. And they, if you get your finances together for the federal grants, then you're going to be in really good shape to get any state monies that are coming through as well. So in terms of the strategizing, what extra capital do you need to keep going? If so, where are you going to get it? And, make sure that you have maxed out on all of the available resources. So hopefully at this point, you've put in for one of the disaster loans, some of the local grants that have come out. If you haven't heard, the newest tranche of money coming out for the payroll protection plan came out yesterday. It is good for folks who are have contractors on their staff as well as full-time employees. One of the lessons that I learned is that it seems like the regional banks are doing a considerably better job in terms of helping their customers and their clients. So rather than going to some of the bigger business banks where you're just really a number in the queue, and if you haven't had a relationship with them to date, they're really not going to help you. I would highly encourage you to reach out to the regional banks in the Grand Traverse area. Not only will they help you get into the queue for the PPP, but if you spend at least 75% of it on salaries, it's forgivable. So it turns from a loan into a grant. And so that's just going to add to the bottom line of your business. And these folks are going to help you on the back end when you need to put that paperwork together. So again, I would highly encourage you, if you haven't already put in your PPP paperwork, to engage in with one of your local banks. And also, if you need some other type of assistance, for early stage tech companies, it's part of the SBDC, and we are lucky enough to have in Michigan a thing called the Business Accelerator Fund. And so that doesn't put money into your company. What it does is it helps you contract a service provider, whether it's marketing or accounting, or you're looking for a contract CFO. It helps you to fund that person coming in. So that's an asset to look into. Also, during the last recession, the MEDC came up with a variety of really interesting programs that as a small business, GCN was able to take advantage of. We got people who were unemployed, who were doing returnships, who were pivoting in their career and looking to do something new. And I had 6 amazing people over a 24-month period who were with us for 3 to 6 months, and we were able to, within our company, give them different skill sets, help them get a bigger network, and actually ultimately move 3 of our 6 folks onto new jobs. So it was a great experience. Another type of funding is crowdfunding. So if you're considering doing that, first of all, you need to pick the right type. So there's donation-based crowdfunding sites like GoFundMe, where people give you money without obligation. They're just handing it over. There's nothing in return, other than definitely some goodwill. Then there's the rewards-based crowdfunding like Indiegogo or Kickstarter. So those are the ones where it's contributions in exchange for a prepaid product. So if you have something that you're doing that you can have pre-purchases now for revenue, for something that you're going to fulfill in, say, July or August. You get the revenue now, you keep the company open. Now, there's a couple other things that are not as well known as kind of Kickstarter and Indiegogo, and those are the equity crowdfunding platforms. And that's where people can invest in shares of, up and coming tech companies. And so as the angel and venture capital markets run dry, this is a great avenue for startups who are looking to sustain themselves and grow. And they're all online. They also have debt crowdfunding. And so again, people can buy part of a loan into your company, giving you a little bit more liquidity right now. So crowdfunding is important, but it is also a heavy lift. Crowdfunding is about marketing your company. So again, if you're going to go out for these dollars, you need to have a strategy, and you need to build this company-centric community story. So people who support crowdfunding campaigns, they do it when there's something at stake. So when you're crafting the campaign language for your crowdfunding, you're going to want to ask things like, how does my business benefit my community? Whether it's a community that is, geographically local, but it might just be a community of like-minded people. You might be working on a music technology that people worldwide would be interested in, but you need to create that message that's going to resonate with whatever particular community you're trying to address. So, for me, I think it's the authenticity. So if you share that authentic story, people will see the campaign as something bigger than helping just you individually, and they'll see that they're making a difference in the community that you're addressing through you. So you're giving her that ability to impact. One key lesson here is, everybody, they put up their crowdfunding and they jump right onto Facebook or Instagram. And my counsel would be, don't go straight to social media. The psychology of crowdfunding tells us that people are less likely to contribute to a campaign that's, zero funded. So if you go on and nobody's put any money in, it's a little daunting that, that kind of that first mover piece. So if you're putting together a crowdfunding site, get some friends and family to kick in a little bit of cash. Even if it's, $100 towards a $10,000 goal, you've got, 10 people who are involved already. Have those viral networks, make sure that, you're accessing your friends and family first, because people are more likely to kind of pile on if a Kickstarter is 40 or 80% funded. So in terms of your clients. They are a large part of, why your business exists. And in terms of your revenue, it's really important to get a sense of where they're at and how they're feeling. And it's unusual in this time more so than any other time, because it's not only about crisis, it's about health and safety. So first, reach out to your customers as human beings. Life isn't all about business. And honestly, some of the relationships that you forge in the kind of the crucible of this really painful time, these are the relationships that are going to last for decades. You're going to find out in the next 12, 18, 24 months who is a stand-up person and who's not. And it's surprising and disappointing on one hand, and on the other hand, it's really heartening to see who steps up and who has your back. So first, email or call folks to set up an appointment, but don't do this only electronically. Talk to people, have them hear your voice. You really get a sense of who people are and where their business is at by having a conversation with them. And so there's really kind of two scenarios here. Are things good? Are they one of the, digital health companies, or, are they a delivery company? Are they something where COVID is actually augmenting their business? Are they pulling in people? Are they onboarding? Are they having challenges with supply chain? But at the end of the day, it's about, is there anything you can do to help them? There's definitely potential opportunities for you to add business, but, in the past, I remember with clients that were super stressed. I did registration at a friend's event. I ran packages one time to UPS because, they had a presentation they were doing and they just didn't know how to get out the door. So honestly, stretch yourself and figure out how your clients might not be totally in your wheelhouse, but what can you do to give them a hand? What connections can you provide for them that are in your network? What advice can you give them? Can you just give them a shoulder? Or on the flip side, are things tough? Are they struggling? Is there, are they giving their staff pay cuts, or are they laying off people? From somebody's voice, you can tell, are they close to closing? But again, on that side, is there anything you can do to help them at this point? The connections, the support. Since you've gone through your finances, is there any leniency that you can give on your accounts receivable with them? Are there a little bit more time, taking 10% off some of their accounts receivable? So, this is a time when knowing your finances is really helpful. So, and again, this is where the flexibility that you have can provide some significant loyalty in the long run. HR, the internal part of your business. I always say that staff are the best and the most challenging part of any business or organization. So this is a marathon, not a sprint. I really don't think we're going to have a V-shaped recovery here. I think we're going to have potentially a W-shaped recovery, or something that looks more like a roller coaster for a little while. And one of the key pieces here is that, your staff is going to remember how you behaved. What you do is going to resonate in your company for a really, really long time. So again, there's the assessment part of this. If you're struggling, you need to look at the core of your business and ask, who are the key people? Who are the folks who, have those core business functions, and who is a luxury? And, it's a little bit mercenary, but, this is a good time to cut the fluff or the less useful weight on your team. And, maybe you don't have anybody, but, maybe you have that person that you're just never quite sure exactly what they're doing, who, maybe they look good on paper, but they're kind of dialing it in now. And right now, unemployment is the most generous that it's ever been, with the feds putting another $600. So it's about $1,000 a week. And as I was mentioning before, the state of Michigan comes together with really good worker reskilling programs. So if there's somebody who was, getting less engaged in the industry or really looking to make a change, this is ironically an interesting opportunity to help them grow into something new. So, but, if there's not an opportunity to do layoffs and everyone is core to keeping your business afloat, really looking at how you can cut costs and keep everyone. So I always say leader goes first. So you either need to take the exact cut that your team is going to take or significantly more. So, if you've been able to benefit off your business for years and, you've got good reserves, then, take a dollar, take a 90% pay cut. If your team's getting a 30% haircut on their salary, it's disingenuous if you're going to take a 5% reduction. So, prove yourself to your team and the people who you value, and put them ahead of you in line. Just in terms of the internal and external communication with your team, you're going to really want to keep it calm. People are going to be stressed. You, as a leader, are not allowed that luxury. One thing is just in the conversations, don't do a lot of talking. I think you're going to stress people out more than you need to. And typically giving people too much information just gets their mind turning and puts, situations, what if this, what if that. So I tend to keep it really concise and give people 3 takeaways. First of all, it's a tough situation right now, and this is nobody's fault. The second is really you're doing the best you can to keep your business afloat and as many people employed as possible. So even with if you're keeping your whole team together, or you're cutting folks, just you're doing the best you can. And then, because of the impact on the business, you need to either make the cuts in the salary or the cuts in the team to keep the business together. So at the end of the day, you want to keep as many people employed as possible. So, with that, I'm going to wrap it up. I spoke about these pieces sequentially, but you'll need to do a lot of this at the same time, the parallel processing. And it's going to be a journey. You'll evaluate your finances, talk to your salespeople, talk to your customers. You're going to rinse, repeat, and retool. And it's definitely scary out there, but there's great opportunity to create a lean team and then a stronger business in the long term. From the high growth company standpoint, a lot of the businesses that now, Uber, Airbnb, PayPal, those came out of the leaner times. And so people get a lot of, ingenuity at this time because, necessity. And it's tough, but there's opportunity and there's helpers out there. Look for the helpers and be one yourself. Thanks so much.
Perfect. Thank you, Lauren. That was really great. At this time, I do want to encourage anyone who might have any questions at all to please drop those in the Q&A section now. We do have 2, Lauren, for you.
Okay.
The first one is, what are some of the equity crowdfunding sites out there?
On the equity side, Fundable is one of them. Crowdfunder is another. If somebody goes into these equity crowdfunding sites, if people know structures, this is common stock that they're buying, so it's not a preferred instrument. And so, these people are not going to be on your board. They're not going to be giving you phone calls. It's as simple. It's the same relationship you would have if you bought something on the stock exchange. So.
Perfect. And the next one is a little similar. It's, what are some of the debt crowdfunding sites?
Those are a little bit different. So Funding Circle is one of them. Zopa is another. and then Lending Club. But there's a bunch of them out there, and in that case, you put an amount out onto the site, and then you'll give the terms of it, when it's going to be paid back, the interest rate, pieces like that, and then people sign up or not. Again, you want to go through the same crowdfunding mechanisms that you do for the rest of crowdfunding, with marketing and trying to get a little friends and family before you put it out there. But there's also ones that are more reputable than others. So for most people know Indiegogo and Kickstarter, but particularly on the equity and the debt funding platforms, I would definitely look up their reviews from other entrepreneurs and see what you can do. See what resonates with you, and if you have a comfort level with it.
Perfect. We did get another question. This person said, I am a single owner bootstrap startup where I have not taken compensation. This profile seems to not fit many of the various assistance programs with no employees, no VC backing. So the question is, are there any programs seen for these types of organizations?
So I guess, this would be a slightly offline conversation, because part of it is, did you pay yourself as a 1099 or did you take the money at the end? So the only funding right now that seems appropriate for that is the fact that unemployment is doing gig workers in 1099s. However, the one thing that you will probably be able to take advantage of in the next 12 to 18 months are programs where you get an employee, you get an intern, you get somebody who's on a returnship path who can really help grow your business, somebody who's a former executive of a company that blew up, or middle management. So whereas you might not get capital now, there's talent that's floating out there that will be available in the next 3 to 18 months that can help really grow your business. Because I tell you, at Growth Capital Network, we had some fantastic people who brought networks to the table that really expanded our business base.
Perfect. And for the person that did ask that, you can see on the screen right now, Lauren did provide her email address. So if you would like to follow up with her directly, feel free to send her over an email. The next question we have is, what are the arms of 20 Fathoms? Do you have connections with all startups all over the state as well as in other states, or is it really just regionally to Northern Michigan?
So one of the things that I was really excited to bring to Traverse City is the 20 years I spent in entrepreneurship. I know most of every commercial tech transfer office in the state, all of the heads of the incubators and accelerators, hundreds of startup companies. The Accelerate Michigan that I developed and ran for 6 years, that was $1 million business competition. And we used to do 55 startup companies and 35 student groups each year. And I built that because I've got a pretty solid national platform of early stage investors that I've worked with through the years, both through my work with clean tech, but also around IT and software platforms. And then with 20, as we have HealthSpark as a program of 20 Fathoms. And the incoming head of HealthSpark has got a very deep venture and equity background around healthcare. And so really broad network of healthcare systems and venture as well. So we can really help the startup companies. If you reach out to me, I have about 4,000 folks on LinkedIn that I've either worked with before, done deals with, or I'm 1 degree of separation away from. And I am happy to make connections and introductions.
That's great. That's great. One more question we had come in. It's kind of a two-parter. Are there industries that you think will thrive as a result of the global pandemic? And what opportunities do you see opening up for startups and entrepreneurs who may be looking to start a new business or manufacture a new product?
So in my portfolio of angel investments, I was really startled to see a couple of the portfolio companies are just killing it. And so, not surprisingly, a lot of the online education pieces are doing incredibly well. They're expanding quickly. Their customer base is expanding quickly. Another technology company is an augmented reality for pain reduction in hospitals, particularly pediatric hospitals. So the kids that are locked in their rooms because of COVID and not able to kind of even convene at all, you know, they don't have any public rooms, there's no playrooms. And so they're doing incredibly well because the hospitals are reaching out because they need something for these kids to do other than watch TV. Another surprisingly successful company in this is a Detroit-based startup called Bloomscape. And Justin Mass and his family are fifth generation nursery family out of Grand Rapids, and plan delivery. I think now that everybody's got to be home, they're killing it. They've had they've had the best weekends they've ever had in the company because people are home and they're like, oh, hey, you know, I wanted to buy these plants and I wanted to do this and that, kind of like home improvement and home repair are. And so I think things around digital health, online learning, delivery, I think those will all be quickly growing sectors. Also, any aspects of technology that can then support those. So if it's a telehealth piece, perhaps a med device that, you know, connects oxygen sensors over to a database, you know, something, you know, I'm just pulling stuff out of the air, but, you know, something that can support these industries of everybody going virtually. And then, yeah, those are some of the opportunities that I see. But I mean, part of it is really around, you know, what's your passion? Where are your skill sets? I mean, I know the energy industry incredibly well. I don't know therapeutics or med device. And so even if I saw an opportunity in that, I could probably assist a company, but I'm not going to be a founder in something that I have neither a passion for nor acumen. And so, you know, it's one of those pieces where there's arenas to make money, but there's also, like, if you're going to build a company, building a company is so difficult that you need to have that passion to work those, you know, 80-hour weeks. And if it's just about making money, it's really difficult to sustain over the long term.
That's really, really great advice. I don't see any additional questions coming in at this time. So Lauren, I just want to thank you so much for taking time to be here with us today, for all of your insight and information you provided. It's extremely valuable, and I know we really, really appreciate it. So thank you very much.
Oh, appreciate being here and appreciate the platform of Traverse Connect and their partnership with 20 Fathoms. Their leadership in Traverse City is really exemplary.
Lauren does have her email provided on the screen right now under Q&A. So if you have any additional questions for her, feel free to email her there, or you can reach out to anyone on the Traverse Connect team and we can help connect you with Lauren as well.